My son was always very advanced, and so I was always trying to find some program to put him in because he was very smart. They mentioned a lunch buddy program, and they talked to me about it at the school. I'm always happy to introduce them to positive and different things. And Brad became his lunch buddy, and he's been there ever since.
With the lunch buddy program, I was kind of dipping my toe into the pool, so to speak. In my opinion, Kaimari and I had similar personalities, so it wasn't like we were trying to fit that square peg into a round hole. We just kind of hit it off from the very beginning.
I think they had it set up in the gym of the school. Only thing I can remember us doing was I did these stacker cup things, and that actually ended up being in a newspaper clipping.
Brad always would come with some kind of activity, and I could only imagine the fun and the different things that Brad has taught my son over the years.
Once Kaimari was getting ready to go to middle school, the lunch buddy program would cease to exist, and at that point in time, it was kind of one of those decision points. Do you want to continue to develop this relationship with your little? And I felt at that time it was the right thing to do, and you couldn't say no.
I don't remember there even being gaps in between us meeting or anything like that. It just all seemed kind of naturally evolving.
It's been really, a wonderful experience. When Kaimari and I first got together, I think he was 9 years old. He's matured, over, 15 years nearly now. When we moved from, school buddy to community base, and, it gave us an opportunity to really get to know one another, really develop a relationship, deeper than what it was with the lunch buddy program.
It made me a bitter person, and that's something that I've had to work with God on, of helping me navigate that bitterness that I have that I don't have a father. Just coming to terms with that kind of stuff is tough, but a lot of it, I've received healing through my faith, and I hope that I see him again one day.
When Kaimari lost his father, it wasn't something that I had any direct experience with, but it was just, like I said, just trying to be there, not being overbearing or anything of that nature, just, maybe being there a little more.
Brad, he's always been just a reorienting force in my life to just kind of give me some structure and order when I may not have always had it.
So I started with just Kaimari with the whole program, and it wasn't until my youngest for their dad passed away that I decided to try to get them a big as well. If I couldn't give them a big chunk of my time, then it would be great to have someone who's teaching them something else or showing them something else.
Before I met Ross, I was pretty quiet. I didn't really talk to anybody. I pretty much was just in my own little bubble, and I didn't really do too much.
First time I had met Cam, he was definitely shy, I would tell you. Didn't have a whole lot to say. So I dominated the conversation. But I could tell, he's a really nice kid, really good-hearted kid, very polite. And we found we had a lot of the same interest within sports, and he liked video games and things like that. So I felt like this was going to be a perfect match.
But I think putt-putting was one of the first few things we did. And then eating, everybody likes food. So we went some places to eat. We did a lot of go-karting.
Cam may not remember this. We were go-karting, and he was ahead of me, and it was the final lap. And I decided to do a little shake and bake and push him into the wall so that I could win. And just told him, hey, welcome to adulthood here, buddy. So
I'm glad I signed them up because I can't give them experience in every avenue of life. If I hadn't signed them up for this program, I think that they would be missing a very important piece to the foundation that helped them shape who they are.
He impacted my life by pretty much showing me a bunch of new stuff, because like I said, I didn't really get out. Obviously, he's older than me, so he's experienced more things, so got me out of my bubble. He definitely helped me become who I am today.
When we first got matched, he was younger. So it was more around what's the biggest video game that he wants to play this week. And now we get more into just life. With him having kids, me having kids, our kids are around the same age. We're in somewhat of a similar spot now, which is kind of funny to see that development over the years.
Having Ross stick by me for so many years feels good. It feels pretty good. Because there's somebody there to make you feel important.
Kameron's had a lot of challenges throughout his life, and he has grown up to be a really fine young man. And it's just inspiring, and I couldn't say it more. I'm very proud of the man that Kameron's become today.
Kaimari's, married, and, I went to Kamari and Jaden's wedding. I'm not ashamed to say I cried like a baby. He has 2 young children, and I've been there for their birthdays. So I like to think that, we are family.
I kind of felt like he'd always be a part of my life after a certain point, because he was. I mean, especially once we're like 5, 6, 7 years in, it's like, I don't see this relationship going anywhere.
And he's just grown into such a tremendous young man, and a wonderful father and husband. So
I definitely believe every kid could benefit from having a big. There's nothing wrong with adding one more person to your community to look out and steer you in the right way.
It doesn't take much to be a big. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to have all the ideas. Just, kind of let it happen naturally.
I thought that I needed to be this perfect big, have everything lined up and dialed in. And I would tell you, it can't be further from the truth. The relationship naturally evolves over time. And the biggest thing there is just being consistent. I learned that just a little bit of time can completely change somebody's life. And although those few hours every few weeks may not seem like the biggest thing in the world or the biggest commitment, it's very impactful in our community. It's very impactful for those children's lives.